Man, I wish Brad Meester and Jamie Meester were in town coming in early. They would join us for a pop right here at String Sports Brewery. Instead, what are you, hitting the slopes before you come into Jacksonville?
Oh, nice.
I guess you would consider it that, yeah. The kids always, the middle school here always does a trip every year for the middle school students, and I've got one that's going, and for the first time, and she's a free spirit, kind of a wanderer, so I thought I should probably be there just so she doesn't go down like a black diamond or something. But, so yeah, I'm going to hit the slopes a little bit. Now, I say the slopes, this is Iowa. There's not a ton of slopes here, so our slopes are nothing crazy. So
it's a little hill. Hey,
hill. That's about all we're doing. Yeah.
You're surrounded by girls and ladies and females, I should say, 6 kids, all girls. And how different are your daughters? Like, are they a lot alike, or are they all very much their own?
They're all very much their own. It's so crazy. And I feel like we've raised them all the same. They all do the same activities, but they are all completely different. I mean, just it's insane. And I do all the way from, some are very vocal and love to talk and are very social. Some are very to themselves. Some love sports. Like the one I just talked about, skiing, she is very to herself. She does not like sports, but she loves like the fine arts and violin, the play, things like that. All
That's
completely
cool.
different.
Meester,
really good.
I mean, which is good though. They all got their own little personalities and characteristics, and so it makes them special.
it's just funny to me, Brent. You've got 2 kids. I've got 3 kids. Meester talking about 6 kids. It's just exhausting to just imagine.
It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. Well,
They're busy.
That's why Jamie's the greatest. His wife, Jamie.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, you guys, for people that don't know, I mean, they know Brad Meester, but these guys, what I love about this run right now, and I saw you in Nashville, and that's really where this started, Brad, but the former Jags are really fired up about what's going on in Jacksonville between Doug Pederson and Trevor Lawrence. You watch it from afar. You always go to one road game. You went to the one in Nashville, and like I said, that's where this thing really started to take off. How fun is this for you guys watching in Iowa and actually coming in for this playoff game to see this team playing so well?
No, that's a lot of fun. I mean, we're having a blast here. I mean, it's fun just talking to people about it because other people are now excited about it, and they keep talking to us about it, and Trevor and how well they're playing. It's just fun to watch. And I guess this is kind of where I'd hoped we would be this year. You never know where we're going to end up. My hope was, we'd be about 500, and we would be a playoff contender. And here we are. We are in the playoffs, and we are peaking at the exact right time. We are hitting our stride at the perfect time, and can't wait to see what we can do. I really think we got a great shot at this one. I can't wait to pull this one out and see where this takes us.
Yeah, Brad, we talked to a lot of former Jaguars on this show, Clay Harbor, Maurice Jones-Drew, Rasheed Mathis. Every time we talk to former Jaguars this season at least, or at least in the last couple of weeks, we always get on the topic of who does this Jaguars team remind you of, and wouldn't you know it, the guys who played on that 17 team or close to it, it reminds them of the 17 team, and the guys who played on the 07-08 run, it reminds them of that. Does this team remind you of any of the Jaguars teams in particular, or do you think they're unique to their own?
I don't know. It's a little bit of both. I think they're unique to their own, but I just feel like it's kind of like that 17, when we got in and we had a home playoff game, for me anyway, I feel like the same thing is happening. Like, we had that home playoff game. But I remember going to that home playoff game, and I have this feeling that we're going to get on this run just like we did then. We went into Pittsburgh. Nobody thought we were going to win that game, and we destroyed them. And then we ended up going to New England and had that game. I just feel like it just feels the same. Like crowd is going to be nuts. I heard it was crazy last week. It sounded like it was crazy on TV. And I'm sure it will be the same this week. I think we'll pull out that win, and wherever we go, I think we'll just keep hitting our stride. And I don't know, I just have that same feeling. We're gonna shock some people in this.
Yeah, Brad Meester with us here on ESPN 690. I look at, obviously, you're a former center, and so you look at the offensive line. Do you watch them closely? And if you do, what do you think about the rookie Luke Fortner? I mean, he has really been a guy we haven't mentioned much at all. And I think Tyler Shatley is the same way. He didn't even start at left guard. Ben Barch was the guy, and then Shatley came in, and we don't even mention anybody's name like Shatley or even Fortner since the beginning of the year. So what's your take on those two guys in particular and the offensive line as a whole?
I think they've done a really good job. I mean, I really do. I think they've meshed well together, been really solid. And I think if people are not mentioning their name, if you're not mentioning their name like an offensive lineman, it means they're doing a good job. I mean, they don't – people notice offensive linemen when things are going bad. You know what I mean? When they're getting beat or they're struggling. That's when people notice offensive linemen. That's just the way it is. If you're not noticing them and we're not mentioning them, that means they're solid up front. I mean, they're doing what they need to do and doing a great job. I mean, being able to establish the run, obviously, and then obviously the big thing is just keeping Lawrence upright and just giving him time because we know what he can do if you just give him a little bit of time. And I think this group has done a great job. And honestly, they'll continue to get better as time goes on, too.
You mentioned establishing the run, and I'm not sure how closely you watched last week's game, but you know, they really did struggle to establish that run last week. Are you giving credit to the Titans front for that, or do you think the Jaguars' offensive line has some work to do?
That's a good Tennessee team. I mean, that's a good Tennessee defense. Obviously, I think we have a little bit of work to do in the run, but it's there. I mean, it's not – I mean, we're close. I mean, but that's the way things go sometimes. I mean, I really feel like, even from my end, like coaching, like sometimes the run game struggles or the passing game struggles, but that's when you got to have the other aspect there to pick it up. I mean, you got to be able to have both of them, a run game and a pass game, and you just really never know what's going to happen on any given day. You know what I mean? It may be a matchup you say, man, we're going to be running the ball a day. It just doesn't work out that way sometimes. You know what I mean? Maybe they got a great scheme or it's just not working, but be able to have both aspects, I think, is key. And obviously, along with that, I mean, obviously we struggled offensively a little bit last week. The defense did a tremendous job. And be able to have those other parts, you know what I mean? It just takes 2 out of the 3, offense, defense, special teams to win, to have a great day, and that's what we did. I mean, our defense stepped up for us. So we just – it's the way it goes sometimes. Sometimes one of those elements struggles, but that's when the rest of the team's got to pick it up.
Mr. Jaguar, Brad Meester with us here on ESPN 690, joining us from Illinois today. Oh, Iowa. Where are you, Illinois or Iowa right now?
I'm in Iowa.
Okay.
Tomorrow I'll be on the slopes in Illinois, yeah.
Okay, and then Saturday you'll be here in Jacksonville for this game. You're the best center in franchise history. How hard is it to play that position, and for Luke Fortner especially being a rookie? Like, just how difficult is that position on the offensive line?
I think I'm probably a biased opinion on that, but I would say it's really difficult. I mean, there's just a lot that goes on that people don't see. You know what I mean? Do like, you go up there, snap the ball, and you block like anybody else. But there's a lot that's happening. Obviously, you got to read defenses. I mean, you got to be on the same page as your quarterback and where your protection is going to pick up blitzes. You know, just as much as the quarterback's got to see the blitz and what's happening, the center does the same thing. I mean, and you're in the stance trying to do that. So you're getting up there, you're getting down in the stance, and you're trying to read the defense. Are the linebackers tipping it? Are the safeties rotating? What's going on? Because you're trying to slide it the right direction. You're trying to direct everybody. I mean, when you have the run game, you're the one that calls out. In most of the time, I'm assuming they still do it. You're the one that calls out. You know, a lot of times for us, it was the Mike linebacker, and it really directs where everybody's going. He's the quarterback of the offensive line. So to be able to do all that as a rookie in this type of situation is tough, and I think he's done a tremendous job. I mean, he's really stepped up and been able to do it really well.
Can you just give us an insight like how that works? Because I think we watch it and we see the center get over the ball, and then we do see some pointing going on, and then we eventually see the snap. But all that communication that takes place, are you saying something as the center, or is it physically the pointing that you're identifying and then and those other guys are reading that? How does that work, that actual communication?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, at least for us. I mean, so obviously we were pointing, so you had that visual in case you couldn't hear it, but we are yelling in pass pro, we would yell which way we were sliding the protection, either right or left. You know what I mean? So that obviously the back knows where he's going, but also the quarterback then knows what side the line is sliding to pick it up. So if you, for instance, like you walk up there and you believe it's coming from the right, whatever word they use, a lot of times it's our words, like Ron or whatever it might be. It meant the line was sliding right. Like, we're going to pick up the down guys and any blitzers from that side. And it would start where the point was. Well, defenses start to switch that, as the snap is going on or the cadence. So they'll start rocking guys and rocking safeties over. And all of a sudden, it might be coming from the other direction. Well, you want the line to pick it up. You want the line to pick it up from the left side instead of having to put a back on a guy, if you can. So you may, midway, just completely switch the protection. A lot of teams will fire zone where they'll bring 4 to a side. So now you have to bring the full line. So you got to yell that out. And so the quarterback has to know that. He has to hear that. If you're switching the protection, he now knows the blitz is picked up. You don't have to throw it hot. Yeah. So they have to be on the same page at all times. And so it goes back and forth. I know for me, a lot of times I would call it a direction or whatever was going on, and then the quarterback has free will to change it whenever he wants to. If he wants to slide it a different direction or change it, he can, and he has obviously the ultimate authority. He's the one that's back there is going to have to take the hit if he's wrong. So obviously so we were just on the same page. He corrects us if he wants to, because obviously he's got a better visual of it. But to be able to step in and do that, do a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
sometimes it looks easy. Now, I'm not saying that it looks easy. Sometimes you look on TV, you're like, oh, that's easy. I can see it coming. And you get down in the stands. It's quick. You get down in the stand, and you have to look through the trees, to try to figure out what's going on. You got big 350-pound guys in front of you, and you got to look through and try to find safeties. And if they're on the hash or if they're moving and things like that, within those few, I don't know how long they're sitting there in their stands. It ain't long, but you have to read that, still be able to listen and hear the snap count, and then the job hasn't even started yet. You still got to snap the ball and block that 350-pounder. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and I imagine consistency on that line is really important, too. It's one of the only position groups that plays just about every snap in the game. You hardly ever see consistent rotations like maybe you would see on the defensive line side of the ball. The offensive line is one of the most consistent groups in the game. So I got to imagine having consistent play with consistent people on that line is an important part to that as well.
Well, that's part of it, too. That's why you don't rotate a lot of offensive linemen, like you do on defense, because of that constant communication, trying to be on that same page. And especially like when you get on the road, we start traveling, let's say we win and we end up in Kansas City or something. You're not talking like you are at home. You're not yelling out which direction it's going. You're having to point it, and people are just going to have to, you have to be on that same page, like, what he's saying, even though you can't hear him say it because it's so loud. That's why you just don't change a lot of those guys, just because it's just a collective group. It's like a family. They just know each other, what each other's thinking without even having to say it sometimes.
Yeah, it's not the backyard ready, set, hike. That's it. That certainly isn't that. It's a lot more communication. Hey, we're going to let you go in a couple minutes, but I want to ask you about Doug Pederson because you played for a lot of different coaches and respect a lot of coaches you played for. You're now coaching football at the high school level. It's amazing to me how much – I always think it's a player's game, Brad. And it's amazing to think that a guy that comes in, and I understand who he came after, but – can make such a difference, such an impact, where you hear players just constantly praising him and telling everybody that he is the difference maker. What does that look like from afar for you? Do you almost wish you were like in the building to feel that? Like, how's he doing all this?
I do. I really wish I was in that building just to hear that. Just because I'm on this end of it now, on the coaching end of it. I love learning and trying to figure out how people are doing that. And I think one of the big things, without even talking to him, or I've never, talked to Coach Pederson, but my thought is this: I think the guys just truly trust him. You know what I mean? I think he's down to earth, and they feel like he truly cares about them. And I think that's one of the big things, even for coaching at this level. You could yell and harp at kids and tell them all the right things, But if they don't feel like you truly care, you know what I mean, and truly, you know, that you have their best interest at heart and you're doing everything you can, I mean, that's the difference maker. And I think that's probably the big difference right now is that they see Doug as a guy that truly and they truly cares and a guy that they want to play for. You know what I mean? That whatever he says goes, you know what I mean? And they'll do anything they can for him. So I think that's probably one of the big things. And that's just the way I think he comes off sometimes. Even when I see him in media stuff and things like that, he's just a down-to-earth, regular guy out there just trying to do the best he can and truly cares about every one of them that's out there on that field.
Yeah, I think you nailed it.
They're not just X's and O's, you know what I mean? They're not just guys and dudes, and we're here to win a championship. He's truly wanting the best for those guys.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, man. Use the word trust. I think you're right on the money. And he is a genuinely good guy. Like, everybody down there says it. We knew that coming in. That's what everybody in Philly even said, even though it didn't work out in the long run for Philly. So I think you're right on the money with that. And it's amazing how far that goes. And a lot of the players will say, hey, we want to be treated like grown men. And obviously the last guy didn't do that that was in that building.
And people can tell that. People can say all the right things. Coach go out there and say all the right things about family and trust and all this other stuff, but players can read through that. Like, they can feel, they can tell. You know what I mean? There's just a gut instinct. This guy truly cares or he doesn't care. And I think there's that feeling like this guy truly cares about us, and we'll do whatever he asks of us. You know, we'll do whatever he says because we believe him and trust in him. And I think that's an awesome thing. I'm glad that we have brought Doug in. I think he's been tremendous for us. There's a lot of good things to come in the future, too.
Brad Meester, Mr. Jaguar, former Jag center, he's coming to town this weekend to catch this playoff game. Obviously now a big fan of this Jacksonville Jaguars team. And I do have to pass along a message. In Nashville, you went to that Bold City Brigade party, and I think that was really fun. I missed that one. They want you to go to the Slab next. You got to go to the big tailgate party, Brad.
Is that where I'm supposed to go? I never know where I'm supposed to go. The Slab. Huh?
Booking Meester all over the place, aren't we?
Yeah. I'm like your agent. I'm like your booking
agent.
1
o'clock. I'm booking it over. My kid's got us busy. My one kid has volleyball in Chicago. So we're going to Chicago to take her there on Friday. And then, so we're flying out of Chicago Saturday, watch the game, and then I'm literally leaving early Sunday morning so I can go back and watch my daughter play volleyball in Chicago again. That's what we'll do. I'll go from the airport, I'll find a parking spot, and maybe we'll check out the Slab. I don't know where I was going. So
yeah, well, I'll let you know where to go with it. And if you want to go to the Slab, they want you there, Brad Meester. They love you over there at the Slab with the Bold City Brigade.
Oh, yeah.
And, we love you, too. Thanks for jumping in, man. Have fun at the game. Safe travels, and hopefully we'll talk to you this weekend.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.